Hey, are you a business owner, entrepreneur, or professional? If so, we want you to apply to be a featured guest on our show. My name is Adam Torres, and I host the Mission Matters series of podcasts. I've recorded over 3,000 episodes, and we are just getting started. How do you know if you'd be a good guest to be on the show? Well, only one way to find out, and that's to apply, but I'm going to let you in on a little secret. We want guests that have a story to tell, guests with a brand, a product, or a service that can benefit my audience of listeners. If this sounds like you, go to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. I'd love to talk to you and get to know more about your story. Again, head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, now let's get into the show. Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters Innovation, your source for all things innovation. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Chri on the line, and he's a co-founder over at Cannabis Commerce Corporation. Chri, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Adam. It's an honor to be.
All right, Chri. So excited to get into today's topic. So we'll talk about what it means to be an entrepreneur in a rapidly growing, quickly evolving, and tightly regulated new industry. So excited to get into that. And maybe just to get us kicked off, tell us a little bit more about what you're doing over at Cannabis Commerce Corporation, also known as CCC.
Yes, yeah. At Cannabis Commerce Corporation, we're solving the biggest problem in legal cannabis, which is cash. And I got scooped yesterday, Al Jazeera English, March 24th, saying the biggest problem in the cannabis industry is too much cash.
So,
go ahead.
When you say too much cash, give us some more. So it's just like there's cash, it's unbankable. Like, give us some more details for those that haven't been following the industry and they don't, they don't quite get that.
Sure. So right now, cannabis is sold legally in 36 U.S. states and the District of Columbia, and in 15 states. That's for medical, 36 states, and 15 of those states have recreational cannabis as well. But the entire industry, because it's not federally legal, the entire industry, the banking industry won't touch cannabis. Mm-hmm. So
what do people do with this cash? Is it just is it mattress money? Like, what do you do? Give us some insight. You're in the middle of this thing. It's just it's in the car, in the trunk. Tell us where the cash is.
That's the problem. Too much cash. The cannabis sales were up 30% last year. Of the 8,200 federally regulated banks, 8,200 banks, only 515 of those banks will do business with cannabis companies, and only 1 out of 30 credit unions. And the cannabis industry in 2020 did $22 billion. So the problem is, what do you do with all this cash? Our solution is don't take it in the first place. Mm-hmm. Customers don't want to use cash. In every industry also, it helps the company that at the retail level, everybody spends more with a credit or debit card than they do with cash. Mm-hmm. So it helps the consumer because they get to get the things that they want, and it helps the retailer because they're able to sell more and not accept this cash in the first place. So we help people with cash alternatives, and helping them negotiate, finding these 515 banks out of 8,000 that will actually work with them.
Wow. So when you say not take cash in the first place, so is it like a different point of sale transaction? Give us a feel for how the setup works.
There are multiple options available, whether you're looking for a cashless ATM type option at a retail level for curbside pickup or delivery, or you're a company that's just looking to pay their supplier here in California. This Al Jazeera article points out there was somebody who drove from LA all the way to Sacramento with $125,000 in a duffel bag just because they didn't want to get stopped at the airport to have the cash potentially seized just to pay a supplier.
Wow.
I know a CPA who, on behalf of their client, walked into an IRS office with $250,000 in cash to pay their taxes. So even though it's federally illegal, they still have to pay federal taxes and state taxes. But that is the key too right now, because throughout the pandemic, now municipalities and states and countries are looking to pull money out of thin air, and the cannabis industry is a perfect way. It's a win-win. It's a way to pull money out of the illicit cannabis industry and put that money into state coffers and municipal tax bases to pay for first responders and hospitals.
Wow. I'm just trying to picture the CPA walking in there with a bucket of cash, and he's like, "Hey, got to pay some taxes."
Yeah, the funny twist in that story, although it wasn't so funny, they had this woman CPA had had $250,000 in cash in her backpack, and she had a sidearm. She had a gun.
Oh, you can't have that part.
And she got up to the IRS office door.
Into a federal building. Yeah.
She got to the federal building door, and there's a big sign with a gun with a big red circle and a cross. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm not getting in this." So she had to go back to her car. She had to hide her gun. And she's like, "Now I got to make a break for it. How do I get into the IRS office without getting, this?"
Oh my gosh!
$250,000.
This is an issue. It's an issue. And I guess most companies, most industries, we take it for granted, right? That we can just walk into, a bank, or we can. What if you couldn't use a bank? Then
what if you couldn't use a bank? What would you do? I mean, last year there was $17.5 billion in wine sales, and I'm here in beautiful Sonoma County, and there were $17.5 billion in wine. There was $22 billion in cannabis. In Illinois alone, there was $1 billion in 2020 in cannabis. So yeah, but cash is a problem. It creates a problem just to pay your employees, or much less store.
Mm-hmm. So, Chris, if somebody is listening to this and they're in the industry and they're thinking about, hey, maybe you and your company, so Cannabis Commerce Corporation, can help. I mean, first off, what type of businesses? Two-part question. What type of businesses do you work with, and what's the best way for them to connect with you and your team?
The type of business that we work with is anybody in the cannabis supply chain. Some people are just looking for ways to pay their suppliers. Mm-hmm. Other people are looking for ways to listen to their consumers at the retail level and provide the type of solutions that they want, like a cashless ATM.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
But compliance is also critical. Compliance. There's no cannabis business in any state without compliance. Mm-hmm. So, if you're looking to get into the industry, if you are in the industry, you need to understand compliance and be audited for compliance, and we can help with that. So yes, people can visit us at cannabiscommercecorp.com.
Fantastic. And, Chris, just want to say thank you for coming on the show today and really providing some unique insight into what's going on in the cannabis industry and some of the issues that have to do with, banking and cash and having too much of it. And we're happy to pick up your story and to get it out there. So definitely. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. Hope you learned a lot. If you did, don't forget, hit that subscribe button. Definitely want you to be a return visitor and a return listener. And thanks again, Chris, for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure.
Be well, Adam.